The book that I've written recently is entitled Learning by Wandering, and the subtitle is An Ancient Irish Perspective for a Digital World. And at first glance, those seem to be two irreconcilable issues or concepts. But I had two reasons for trying to bring the two together. One is that, as I've already stated, I've spent all my life in education. I've been a very passionate educator, and the main thing for me was to try and get across the idea that learning is really something that can be loved for its own sake. It does us good, it nourishes the soul, and that other things follow almost naturally from that. Now, that idea did not come to me out of the blue. It's something, if you like, that I have grown up with, because that is the concept of learning that I derived from a study of my own ancient culture, ancient Irish culture. I was always attracted to what are called generally Celtic studies or Irish studies, and in fact my bachelor degree was on Celtic studies and then French studies, because the French language and culture was my other love. But basically, the more I got immersed in my own culture, the more I began to see, they really had a very inspiring vision. And as I looked at the mythology, as I read more about the structures of the pre-Christian society, where men and women of learning were so honoured, where that esteem for learning and for people of learning continued right through into the early Middle Ages, and was expressed in the monastic schools, which were in fact fueled by Christian monks, Irish monks, who had absorbed this passion for learning. And this is what attracted students from all over Europe. And the whole idea was of learning pushing you to break through all boundaries, because if you're passionate about it, you're never going to stay put. You're never going to say, that's it, I'm done. I know all about learning. So the idea really was expressed also in the tales that I had read with great pleasure, which told of seekers after learning, after knowledge, just getting into their small boat and going off, not knowing where, in a way that I described as uncharted but not aimless, because you never put a border on learning. There's never, again, it can't be boxed in. Even in the engravings on very, very ancient tombs and monuments, I could see this message coming through, because one of the most common was the spiral, and it has been described as the central motif of Celtic art. And also, a scholar said, it gives us the impression that it cannot be contained, that it's in a constant state of evolution. And the light bulb went off for me then. That is what I thought learning should be. And then I took the idea of the little boat as the technology, because to me technology became whatever helped you break through barriers to development, to human flourishing. For example, as a limited physical human being, you can't cross a sea, but you get something to help you do it, and so on. And basically I thought, now wait a minute, in the way education has developed, particularly in the Western world, because I don't know enough about the Eastern world to comment on that, I felt that we are still stuck at what I've termed the industrial age model. In other words, when mass education became available, mass production was the model, and the assembly line was the strategy. You learned your pieces, and you learned what you had to do in order to be able to go out and fit into the factory, which was, that's not an aim that I'm criticising, but I'm saying maybe it was right for the industrial age, and that's a big question, but is it right for the digital age? And my answer was, how could it be? Because the industrial age is no longer with us. For me, that's the fantasy world. The real world is the world that was conjured up and described and lived out by these ancient ancestors that I'm talking about, where they said learning is forever, it's for life, and it needs some form of technology to help you break through your limitations. I would just like to add that I say this about Irish culture, but I know that all ancient cultures have that type of wisdom in them. And my fear is that we neglect that and just become too restricted by that factory model and also by a kind of a mystique about technology.